What's up, guys? Today I want to share some reflections on why it's important to ship early. Now, shipping early, pretty much it refers to producing a piece of work early, which is subjective, but the way I understand it, it's earlier than you feel ready to, and it's early so that you get feedback and validation, not like the psychological self-esteem type validation, but validation in the sense where it's confirmation from the audience or the market that you're trying to serve that the product is appealing or not appealing, and appealing enough, like how appealing enough to watch a random YouTube video, or appealing enough to pay $100 to, or appealing enough to pay like $1,000, right? So I feel like depending on our personalities, how ready we feel depends. That wasn't very clear, but what I meant by that is some people feel quite comfortable with shipping early at the right time, whereas other people might feel comfortable too far and too late into the process, right? And it's really important though, because if we don't ship early, what we're risking is wasting time, effort, and money and opportunity costs into preparing, planning, and producing, but we have an imagination in our minds that that something is going to do well, right? That something is something that somebody else wants to buy or is going to appreciate, or is going to think is good in the first place. And the problem with that is that if we're spending a lot of time preparing something and it's only in our imaginations and we're often so biased, well, what happens if they don't care about it? Or what happens if it's not even appealing? Or what happens if what we thought when we finally prepared it and cooked our metaphorical meal to serve to somebody, well, they don't like the look of it, they don't like the taste of it, and it actually puts them off, right? So that's like a lose-lose-lose scenario that the idea of shipping early is meant to mitigate for, right? We want to figure out how to ship early so that we get feedback from real people, and ideally the right people. It's got to be the right type of people who can give us feedback about how it seems, how it looks, right? On a sort of non-serious note, it sort of applies with these YouTube videos, right? I'm just like shipping whatever sort of comes to mind every day, and I notice that some videos, they get more views and more likes, whereas some, they don't, right? And it's a combination of the packaging and the content, right? On the other extreme, a more serious example is I spent like 3 to 4 years in a startup where we never got sales, and our execution on sales and getting validation in the form of cash, right? That was pretty much non-existent throughout the 3 or 4 years until we decided to give up, right? So we did get some validation that it was a great idea, that it was very promising. We even won a national award, right? So we validated it that way. But what I'm thinking of when I'm saying it needs to be the right people, I feel like all those are sort of like stepping stones until the right people, the actual customers or the audience, actually gives you some cash for it, right? Otherwise, it's pretty much everyone patting you on the back for being motivated, for being entrepreneurial, or having a great idea, like keep up the good work, looks promising, but if at the end of the day, the person you're trying to sell to isn't motivated enough to pay the price that you set, then there's an issue, right? So that's the extreme case of like time, energy, and effort spent expecting something, expecting a payoff which doesn't come, right? Now, those were just two extreme examples. One was like a 3-4 year commitment, good lessons learned, great experience, right? But just in terms of the lack of proper validation from the beginning, or the lack of focus on sales, was quite consequential. And on the other extreme, well, YouTube at this stage is just a hobby, so I'm just shipping as soon as possible. But I don't think the quality is that good, but it's quite insightful regardless. Now, the actual example that made me want to make this video was for something in between, which was for an online course I'm making. And I was telling my wife this morning that I wanted to pivot a bit, and I wanted to ship later. Like, I wanted to film some of the course content before I validated it with the real and the right people. And I was previously gonna do a lot of stuff on YouTube. Then I had a nudge from an online community, and then also from my good friend to tell me that was a bit of a distraction and just focus on the marketing and validate it. And then this morning my wife pretty much told me the same thing. So I am switching my mind back to focus on the marketing and trying to ship as early as possible. And I did a bit of planning this morning just to like visualize what it would look like after I had started the marketing campaign. And it turns out that it's not as overwhelming that I might have thought a day or two ago. So a bit of planning was all that was necessary. I don't think I needed to switch courses as much as I had thought yesterday, but a bit of planning, a bit of like making things concrete, a bit of figuring out, getting a clear idea what's actually entailed in making the product. But now I'm going to go back and I want to try switch it back to the marketing. I think it pays to be reminded of this very often by a friend or family or just people around you. If you've got the inclination to not ship, or if you've got the inclination to just like procrastinate by doing productive things, but procrastinate on the shipping aspect and the actual validation aspect, and putting your ideas and your work in front of the actual people that you're making it for, right? So that was just a reminder that I got this morning. I think it was a very good reminder, and now I made a video about it. Anyway, so that was a little bit of a rant. So remember to ship often and ship early, and have a nice day. If you found this video useful at all, check out my video on why failing is important. It's a similar vibe, similar concept, and I think you will like it very much. So catch you guys on the flip side, and bye for now.